I would now like to focus a little more on inflation. The CPI headline inflation in April registered a further sharp increase to 7.8%. It was the fourth consecutive month when inflation touched or was above the upper tolerance level of 6%. The surge in headline inflation was seen across all major categories. The global geopolitical situation remains fluid and commodity markets remain on the edge, rendering heightened uncertainty to domestic inflation outlook. Certain positive developments on the prices front in recent weeks may help to ease the acute price pressures to some extent. These would include expectations of a normal southwest monsoon and Kharif agricultural season, the recent supply-side measures taken by the government and the unfolding of their impact, lifting of palm oil export ban by a major supplying country, that is Indonesia, and signs of moderation in global industrial metal price indices. Our quick survey of urban households undertaken after the excise duty cuts of petrol and diesel on May 21st shows a significant moderation in inflation expectations of the urban households. And we notice declines of 190 basis points in their 3-month ahead expectations and 90 basis points in their 1-year ahead expectations. In such a scenario, further reduction of state VATs on petrol and diesel across the country can certainly contribute to softening the inflationary pressures as well as the inflationary expectations. Notwithstanding these positive developments, upside risks to inflation do persist. These risks emanate from elevated commodity prices, revisions in electricity tariffs across many states, high domestic poultry and animal feed costs, continuing trade and supply chain bottlenecks, rising pass-through of input costs to selling prices in the manufacturing and services sectors, the recent spike in tomato prices which are adding to fuel inflation, and most important of all, the elevated international crude prices. With assumption of a normal monsoon in 2022, and average crude oil price in the Indian basket of $105 per barrel, inflation is now projected at 6.7% in 2022-23, that is the current year, with Q1 at 7.5%, Q2 at 7.4%, Q3 at 6.2%, and Q4 at 5.8%, with risks evenly balanced. It may be noted that around 75% of the increase in inflation projections can be attributed to the food group. Further, the baseline inflation projection that we are making now at 6 and 7% for the current year, it does not take into account the impact of monetary policy actions taken today. Between February and April, headline inflation has increased by about 170 basis points. With no resolution of the war in sight and the upside risks to inflation, prudent monetary policy measures would ensure that second-round effects of supply-side shocks on the economy are contained and long-term inflation expectations remain firmly anchored and inflation gradually aligns closer to the target, or rather close to the target. The monetary policy actions, including withdrawal of accommodation, will be calibrated, keeping in mind the requirements of the ongoing economic recovery.